Jay Leno was in Richmond tonight for a great event for the community, but he had some big surprises in store for the wife of fallen officer Daniel Ellis.
Police in Ohio released 911 calls in connection with the murders of 8 people. Deputies in southern Kentucky have arrested a man accused of murdering his wife and putting her body in a well.
This is WKYT News at 11.
A beautiful day in the bluegrass. Thanks for staying up with WKYT. I'm Kristen Kennedy. Today brought with it a lot of sunshine and a lot of warm temperatures. We'll see even warmer weather tomorrow. We begin tonight with meteorologist Jim Caldwell and the no-wait weather forecast.
And we are going to be tracking another great day out there with warmer temperatures than we had even today. And we were in pretty good shape. Upper 60s is where we got officially for highs. Tomorrow, we're likely in the mid and upper 70s in most locations. Out there right now, as we're looking back toward downtown, we're at 56 degrees. But as we head through the overnight, we're going to see those temperatures dip a little bit more, probably into the 40s before it's all said and done. Area-wide trend is in the low and mid 50s. Go out toward Louisville and it gets a little bit warmer, but you can see that we are much cooler around here. Hour by hour look at our temperatures through the overnight. Watch as they drop by early in the morning. This particular run of the model is trying its best to even push 30s in here, and it's trying to also pick up on the idea that we're in the low and mid 40s area wide before we get into the day tomorrow when temperatures warm into the mid and upper 70s. So after a chilly start to your Sunday, things look a whole lot better into the afternoon. We will track the rest of the forecast, which includes rain, coming up in just a few minutes.
The last 5 months have been beyond tough for the family of a fallen Richmond police officer. Officer Daniel Ellis was shot and killed during a robbery investigation in November. Ever since, the community has found ways to support his family. Tonight, St. Mark Church teamed up with a famous comedian to cheer up his widow, Katie Ellis. WKYT's Caitlin Sentner was there for a few surprises in our top story at 11.
Daniel is the father.
Yeah. Oh,
Luke is the son.
Right. Oh, okay. There you go. Well, good. Now I know that.
That's
it's like
right.
a comedy routine.
That's
I said,
right.
What's the little boy's name? Dale. No, it's Luke.
did.
Jay Leno was in Richmond Saturday night, joking around with Father Jim like they were old friends. The night of laughter, a great time for Katie Ellis, wife of fallen police officer Daniel Ellis.
It's bittersweet. You know, I'd rather just be sitting at home on my couch with Daniel. But that can't happen, so I feel like the community is really kind of healing with me.
Evening Among Friends on its last year benefits the St. Mark Church and School, as well as the Officer Daniel Ellis Memorial Foundation.
You know, everybody thinks the world is such a terrible place, but there are more good people than there are bad people. You only hear about the bad people. You know, it's like this police officer that was killed on line of duty. He was a good man.
You know, the whole incident started at St. Mark. Our kindergarten teacher was robbed by that individual, that assailant. Daniel, Officer Ellis, was coming to assist us. On behalf of my mother, my brothers and sisters, and myself, we're sending you and Luke to Disney World.
Now, that vacation wasn't the only surprise Katie Ellis got Saturday night. Jay Leno had a $10,000 donation to put in her son's college fund.
I'd like to see him go to college. You know, police officers don't make enough money anyway, and when you lose the breadwinner in the family, it's the saddest thing in the world.
It is very surreal. We're just regular people that have unfortunately been put in this position, and we lost Daniel, and we're very honored that someone like Jay Leno would care. Just a little, you know, it means the world.
Ellis says she can't thank the community enough for all the support and a night full of surprises and laughter with Leno. In Richmond, Caitlin Sentner, WKYT.
Tonight's event sold out with 500 people in attendance. The search is still on for the person who murdered 8 members of a family in southern Ohio. Today, police in Pike County, Ohio released Friday's 911 calls. CBS's David Begnog has the latest on the investigation.
Hey, tell me what's going on. There's blood all over the Ohio's Attorney General released the 911 calls a day after the execution-style murders left this small Ohio town reeling. There are few clues about the killings that are spread across 4 crime scenes. All 8 were members of the Roden family, 7 adults and a 16-year-old young man.
I just found my cousin with a gunshot wound.
Okay, sir, is he alive?
No.
Police worked through the night, expanding their search to try and find the killer, or killers who they say are still on the loose. One man was detained at gunpoint. He was one of 30 people questioned. Among the victims, grandmother Dana Roden and her daughter Hannah, who was killed with her 4-day-old child laying in bed beside her. The child was unhurt. Authorities have said it appears some of the victims actually tried to put up a fight before being shot dead. Others were killed in their sleep. To the person who comes forward and gives authorities the information they need to make an arrest in this case, a Cincinnati businessman announced Saturday he'll give that person a $25,000 reward. David Begno, CBS News, Pike County, Ohio.
The Cincinnati businessman is restaurant owner Jeff Ruby. He tweeted his reward offer this afternoon. A Wayne County man faces charges tonight in connection with his wife's death. Troopers found the body of 28-year-old Rachel Jones yesterday afternoon in a well on Tobar Road in Wayne County. Today, deputies arrested her husband, 29-year-old Joseph A. Jones, at a home on that same road. He's charged with murder, domestic violence, and tampering with physical evidence. We have new information tonight about a crash in southeastern Kentucky. State police say 2 people died in a head-on crash on the Hal Rogers Parkway near the Big Creek exit in Clay County. We're told 1 person died at the scene, another died at a hospital in Pike County. Crews rushed 2 others to UK Hospital. State police are investigating a deadly fall in Bourbon County. Troopers say Israel Castrillo was climbing a tree on Ruddles Fort Road this morning when he lost his balance and fell. They believe Castrillo broke his neck and died. Troopers do not suspect foul play. Dozens of friends honored an Eastern Kentucky University student tonight. Nick Rucker died in a crash earlier this month. The 22-year-old was a passenger in a car that crashed on 8th and Boonesboro Road in Lexington. He died at the scene. Tonight, members of his fraternity held a fundraiser at the Copper Still in Richmond to raise money for Rucker's family. There was live music, food, and a silent auction.
Nick knew a lot of different people in a lot of different places. You know, he had his family spread out across multiple cities in this state. You know, he was part of the National Guard, so he had a family there. He was part of the Landicais. He had a family there.
All the money raised tonight went to Rucker's family. Thousands of Kentuckians on food stamps will lose their benefits next month. The state says 9,000 people living in 8 Kentucky counties will lose food stamps May 1st because they did not follow federal work and training requirements. Dozens of states, including Kentucky, were exempt from the federal requirement form from 2008 to 2015. The state says people in 8 counties, including Fayette, are now losing benefits. The federal work and training requirement applies to able-bodied adults without dependents. The Kentucky Republican Party picked 25 delegates today to represent them at the National Republican Convention. The delegates will help determine the party's presidential candidate. The state's congressional districts also picked delegates to send to the convention. Party leaders say even if they all support different candidates, they want to keep a unified front.
And I challenge those of you who become the delegates. It would seem increasingly likely that there will be what is known as an open convention. That is a very distinct possibility.
State delegates' support of the first ballot at the convention will be based on last month's caucus. Trump won 17 of Kentucky's delegates. Cruz won 15. If none of the presidential candidates get enough delegates to win the nomination, Kentucky's delegates are free to support anyone on the ballot. Still to come on WKYT, the Kentucky Derby is just 2 weeks away, and the Derby favorite was out at Keeneland today.
At Frank Shoup, we use market-based pricing, which means we scan literally hundreds of other dealers' websites and then price our inventory below other stores.
No inflated prices here. You get the best price right up front at Frank Shoup in Georgetown.
His time has come to take the main stage spotlight.
Get ready for country sensation Lee Brice. May 12th, 7:30, EKU Center for the Arts. A night filled with songs from his latest album, I Don't Dance. In stores now. Tickets are on sale now. Choose your seats and print tickets from home at EKUcenter.com. Lee Brice.
Hey, America! I'm getting fired up for Golden Corral's new Fired Up Favorites. They're launching flavor to a whole new level. I'm heading there now! It's endless baby back ribs, wings, and tenders in bold new flavors like mango habaneros, sriracha, garlic parmesan, and classic buffalo. All for one low price. Rough flight, great landing. Fired Up Favorites only at Golden Corral, the best buffet in the USA.
Folks have been taking the short drive to satisfaction for over 20 years. Not only Winchester folks, but folks all across the state and even across the country. And who wouldn't come here? With over 2,500 vehicles to choose from here in Winchester, Kentucky. No matter if it's 100 miles or the short drive from Lexington, our staff will help you start your journey. Tim Short Chevrolet.
When Dad died, Jim came home from college to help save the family business. Jim made a real difference. We grew Gray Construction from $1 million business to over $1 billion in sales a year. We built over 900 projects and helped create over 20,000 jobs in Kentucky. I'm Jim Gray, and I sponsored this ad because Washington could use Jim's business sense and some good Kentucky common sense to get things done.
Jim Gray, Kentucky first.
Well, there's a big name in cars that we all know. Frank Shoot, Frank Shoot, Frank Shoot, Shoot.
Shop Frank Shoop in Georgetown for your next vehicle.
Bring on the competition. Frank Shoot is gonna set the pace.
Stay connected to the news that matters to you, like WKYT on Facebook. Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Jim Caldwell.
Very warm out there for us today with temperatures in the upper 60s, low 70s. Very comfortable, I should say. The really warm stuff kicks back in starting with tomorrow's forecast and really holds steady throughout the next several days. But it's going to come with some showers and storms, which is not such a bad thing. We actually need a good little push of some rain in the area. It is the final Sunday of the spring meet out of Keeneland, and if you are headed out there tomorrow, you will be very happy. Maybe not on what you bet, but you'll certainly be happy about the weather. 77, mostly sunny skies for you. So it's a great last Sunday of the meet. Now next week with the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday action, you will have chances of rain because that's when we start to get a little more on the active side with a daily threat of at least an isolated shower or a thunderstorm. We're at 56 right now in Lexington. You got 54 in Richmond, 52 in Mount Sterling, and already down to 50 in Danville and also in Maysville. So you can see some of the cooler air easing into the area here tonight, and it will get a little bit worse during the overnight hours. But tomorrow, we're fine. We are right back into the mid and even some upper 70s. Probably start showing up across a big chunk of the area. Just a fantastic looking Sunday. And our Defender Radar Network, it's going to look like this all night and into the day tomorrow, which is fine. Again, we do need a little bit of rain to get in here to kind of moisten things back up, but overall, a good looking day. It's hard to beat a sunny day. It really is. We've got energy and plenty of it that will come together and will likely make a run at Kentucky in the next several days. That's where we're going to run into those daily chances of showers and even some thunderstorms. High pressure starts to scoot off toward the east. As it does, it'll pump in more of a southerly wind. That with the system also coming closer and closer to us. And what will end up happening is we'll run into some scattered chances of showers and even a few thunder showers starting with Monday because we're increasing the moisture content in the atmosphere. So there you see the isolated chances going up. They'll continue into the afternoon and evening. Eventually they'll die out. But then we'll pick right back up once we get into your Tuesday, and we'll keep the rain chances alive as we head through the week. There you see all of those chances. I've got it mainly cloudy there graphically on your Monday, and the reason being is because a lot of us are going to stay dry. But as we advance through the rest of the week, we all have better chances of running into some of those showers and those thunderstorms. But this is what April is supposed to look like. Rainy days, warm temperatures. Yeah, you get it. This is what we're supposed to be doing.
A lot of April showers, right?
Exactly. For what? The Mayflowers, of course, yes.
Kentucky baseball needed a dramatic win to avoid being swept by Arkansas. DK has highlights next on Game Time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for making WKYT the most watched news at 10 a.m. and at noon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the most watched news at 4 and 4:30.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And again at 5, 5:30, 6, and 11. Thank you for making WKYT the most watched station in the Bluegrass and beyond. WKYT stands for Kentucky.
Thank you, guys. We love you.
With a heavy-duty welded steel deck and exclusive smooth track steering, the Hustler Raptor zero-turn mower doesn't play around. It's got the power to turn your weekend to-do list into your weekend to-done list. The legendary Hustler Raptor family starting at just $27.99. Tools, not toys.
Get your Hustler mower at Pat's Garden Center in Stanford and Southern States Co-op of London.
Lexington Overstock Warehouse is open this weekend for our spring cleaning warehouse sale. Get quality furniture and mattresses at incredibly low prices. Oversized sofa $397, Serta Queen mattress and box $288. Go to LexingtonOverstockWarehouse.com for more details.
Desátame de una vez. ¿Dónde has estado? Te he estado esperando por más de una hora. Al menos me hubieras llamado.
Jimmy Jones.
Se están comportando como monios.
Jimmy
Estoy
Jones,
enloqueciendo.
ayúdame, por favor.
¿Cómo quieres que
¡Pronto!
Jimmy John's, freaky fresh, freaky fast.
Want to fill your garage with the best value brand in America that costs less than the competition? Honda's got it. During Honda's Dream Garage Sales Event, redesigned 2016 Civics, the #1 selling compact car, just $179 a month. Or drive with 0 down, 0 security, and 0 first month's payment. Civics with available Honda Lane Watch, Brake Assist, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and more. Just $179 a month or 0 due at signing. Honda's got it at your Central Kentucky Honda dealers.
The state of Kentucky supported me when they really didn't have to. It wasn't the in vogue thing to have an African-American quarterback. And so when I needed them most, they were there. Well, now they need me, and I'm going to be there.
Coming up tonight on The Big Show, the baseball Wildcats hadn't been swept all season. Today, trying to avoid the Arkansas Brooms at Cliff Hagan. The Kentucky Derby favorite got in some work, breezing over the track at Keeneland this morning. And we'll have the story of a Georgetown football player who's back on his feet following a life-changing injury. We'll have those stories and more tonight on Game Time. Heading into this weekend's SEC series with Arkansas, the baseball Wildcats had a chance to take advantage of the Hogs, who were sitting in last place. But Zach Brown lost a heartbreaker last night, 1-0 in extra innings. So UK trying to bounce back to take a doubleheader on Saturday and win their 5th SEC series this season. The Hogs would scratch first. Luke Bonnefeld rips a Dustin Beggs offering down the right field line. That's extra bases, and Carson Shady around to make it 1-0 Pig Suey. They would get 2 in the inning. Cats did have the best defensive play of the day. Tucker Pennell hits a screamer toward left center, but UK shortstop Riley Mahan getting the elevator going and robbing the hit. That's all Arkansas starter Zach Jackson would need. Cats load him up in the 7th, but Tristan Pompey flies out to center to end the game. Jackson with the 2-hit shutout. Cats fall 2-0. UK's Dustin Beggs suffers his first loss of the year. So now trying to avoid being swept in game number 2, and in the bottom of the 2nd, it's Tristan Pompey ripping a double to the wall in right center. Troy Squires will round 3rd and try to score from 1st, and he's going to slide in safely. Pompey would wind up on 3rd. First run of the series for the Cats. Arkansas up 2-1. In the 4th, it's Doc Harrison, just what the doctor ordered. Hit well to center. This one's gone. A 2-run bomb, game tied at 3-3. To the bottom of the 7th we go. After Hairston tied it at 4-4 with an infield single, Riley Mahan on third, and Troy Squires rips one into the gap in right center. Watch the team. Here they all come. It is a walk-off hit. So the Cats scratch out a win, 5-4. They avoid being swept by Arkansas.
To be able to pull through and compete as well as we did in Game 3 was really a testament to the type of kids we have, and really proud of them.
That speaks to how much we like to fight. We dropped 2 to start the series off, and we pulled that one out, and that just speaks to what we like to do with this program.
I mean, it felt good. I mean, our pitchers battled their butts off all weekend and, kept us in that game, especially out of the bullpen. Guys coming in, throwing strikes, getting outs, quick outs, and they just did a tremendous job all weekend.
Yeah, gotta love that, right? 11th ranked Kentucky softball at number 4 Alabama. Wildcats down 2-0 in the 6th. Abby Cheek delivers a base hit up the middle. Silver Samuel hustling home to score brings UK within a run. But the Bama half of the inning with the bases loaded. Chandler Dare takes a Megan Prince offering to shallow center. That'll score 2 runs, and that'll get the Bama fans up and cheering. 7-1 Alabama. They even up the series. The rubber matches tomorrow. It's been a dreadful series for the Reds. No hit by the Cubs on Thursday, and then losing 8-1 in game number 2 on Friday. Reds hoping to turn things around tonight. Tied at 1-1, bottom of the 4th. Brandon Phillips rips the double to left center. Eugenio Suarez will come around to score. But Phillips, well, he's dead rights the third, trying to stretch into the triple. Still, the Reds get the lead 2-1. Then in the 6th, now 3-2 Cubs. Suarez sees a pitch that he likes, and that's headed toward the old grassy knoll in center. 3-run shot puts the Reds out in front 5-3. Same inning. Adam Duvall with 2 aboard. That one's gone. How about 3 more on the scoreboard? A home run to left center makes it 8-3. Reds saved all their runs for this game. Game number 3, the scoreboard operator was busy tonight. 13-5, Reds get the win. We're now just 2 weeks away from the 142nd running of the Kentucky Derby, and today the Derby favorite got in a workout. Nyquist was on the main track at Keeneland. The Florida Derby champ worked 5 furlongs in a time of 1 minute 1 and 8 seconds. Because it's more quiet and less stressful for Nyquist, trainer Doug O'Neill has kept the horse at Keeneland. The son of Uncle Mo will have one last workout next Saturday before heading over to Churchill Downs.
A lot of horses, as you guys got to see, a lot of horses aren't real keen about that kind of activity and new stuff. And with Nyquist, he sees something one time and he's fine. And so fortunately, he's been in part of a lot of big races so far, and he's seen a lot of cameras and tripods and microphones and all that stuff, and he thrives on all of it.
Gotta like a horse that likes a good tripod. The feature at Keeneland this afternoon, the Grade 2 $250,000 Dixiana Elkhorn Stakes for 4-year-olds and up. A field of 8 going to 1 1/2 miles on the turf. Here's Kurt Becker with the call.
The big hoss 2 lengths away and coming on. Keigan's there on the outside. Royal Albert Hall running late. A red tie day fights on. The big hoss has the lead. Royal Albert Hall between horses. Keigan there on the outside. The big hoss. Keigan drawing. The big hoss wins the Dixiana Elkhorn.
The big hoss, how about that? Wins it, paying out $740, $380, and 3 even. Keigan finishing in second. Royal Albert Hall in third. The Kentucky Derby now less than 2 weeks away. Coming up next, what happens when your life gives you a tough break? Well, if you're a local Georgetown college athlete, you get right back up on your feet and make the most of it. That's next on Game Time.
WKYT's Game Time is brought to you by Frank Shoup, Chevy, Buick, Chrysler, Jeep, and Dodge, and by Cardinal, Chevy, Buick, GMC, and Cadillac.
At Frank Shoup, we use market-based pricing, which means we scan literally hundreds of other dealers' websites and then price our inventory below other stores.
No inflated prices here. You get the best price right up front at Frank Shoup in Georgetown.
Did you know? Less than 10% of people who can donate blood actually do. Did you know? Patients in your community need your help. Donate blood at Kentucky Blood Center today. Visit kybloodcenter.org for more information.
Growing up in a small town was really a struggle in some aspects. I mean, there are times that you don't really know what to do, you don't know really what's out there. Mission of Hope has been a lot in my life. They've been the one thing that I know that I can count on. They've been the encouragement I've needed. They've given me role models, and without them, I wouldn't be here, and I know that for a fact. So get out there, do good things, and good things will come to you.
Spring is here. It's time for our April Show You the Savings event at Adams Buick GMC Truck in Richmond. Now choose from over 25 new Buick Encores starting at $199 a month with no money due at signing. A new Buick Verano, $188 a month, no money due at signing. A new Buick Regal, $266 a month, no money due at signing. Or save over $6,000 on a new LaCrosse. Plus, get the Adams Advantage, a limited lifetime powertrain warranty. Our April Show You the Savings event at Adams Buick GMC Truck in Richmond, where
Sid says sell them.
Growing up in a small town was really a struggle in some aspects. Mission of Hope has been a lot in my life. They've been the one thing that I know that I can count on. So get out there, do good things, and good things will come to you.
First, Caitlin's taken. Now who else? Everybody's gonna realize sooner or later that I don't have my speed. I'm just a regular guy.
How are we gonna stop that guy?
The suit will only absorb one of Gray's punches. Anything more than that, you'll be like a piñata.
Please.
The Flash, all new this Tuesday at 8/7 Central on the CW.
Well, there's a big name in cars that we all know. Frank Shoot, Frank Shoot, Frank Shoot, Shoot.
Shop Frank Shoop in Georgetown for your next vehicle.
Bring on the competition. Frank Shoot is gonna set the pace.
Tuesday night's Mega Millions jackpot is $108 million. Cody Casey had a promising football career in front of him when he arrived at Georgetown College, but a tough break put him on a life-changing course. But as I found out this week, he isn't slowing down. It's the ultimate contact sport.
Football is one of the greatest sports you can compete in, you know. You're always going hard, and on defense especially, you get to hit people, so that's one of the things I love to do is hit people.
But if you look closely, Cody Casey has something that sets him apart.
The other day I saw him fall flat on his face, and you know, guys went to pick him up, and before they could pick him up, he was back up in line, ready to roll again. And when you have that kind of determination, you know, you find a way to use them.
A chance to play football brought Cody Casey to Georgetown College, where as a freshman he earned a starting spot in the defensive backfield and was named to the all-conference team. But a tough break his sophomore season would change his football career.
I remember like it was yesterday. I was locked up with my defender on punt return, and I was pushing him back. I got hit on the side of my leg, and I didn't know what happened at first. I just got dizzy, really dizzy, and eventually I fell, and then I looked down at my leg, and yeah, I saw it was broke.
Bill Cronin has been the head coach at Georgetown College for 20 years and has seen his fair share of injuries.
We thought it might be a typical break, but it was anything but typical.
Cody underwent surgery that night where a rod was inserted to stabilize the broken bone. 6 months later, the doctors noticed a problem.
My bone didn't really grow that much, and I found out I had an infection in my leg.
9 surgeries would follow, each without much progress.
In my mind, I always kept a positive attitude, just to think that, like, you know, I can't look at this in a bad way because it won't really help anything looking at it a bad way.
1 year after the injury and after countless surgeries, the infection was still not improving. It's at that moment that he had to make the decision of his life.
19 years old and you have to get your leg cut off. Like, you don't want to think about that at a young age, but you know, I really had to make a life-changing decision.
Cody says it was a decision that paid off because just getting back on his feet wasn't enough. He wanted to return to the football field, and that's exactly what he did this spring.
I
think he's got high hopes to be back on the football field on game day, and that would be quite a thing to see. And if anybody can do it, he'll be able to do that.
And as long as his heart is in it, one leg will do.
The moment I do step on that field, because I know I will, it's just going to be amazing.
And what an amazing young man he is. Well, coming up next, it was a big day in the NBA. Several former Kentucky Wildcats played well. Those highlights are next on Game Time.
Suit up, dress down. Whatever the occasion calls for, we've got the looks. Right now, select suits are $199.99. Designer jeans are 2 for $100. Plus buy one, get one free on more. Men's Warehouse. Rise to the occasion.
I couldn't get work opportunities without a high school diploma.
I said it's time for me to go back to school, get my GED, and further my education.
It was a feeling that I cannot explain. Once I received that GED, I decided to keep going to college and do something.
My son and I, we are stable. I pay the bills. I'm able to do all that because I got my GED.
For a limited time, the GED test is 50% off for Kentuckians. Find out more by contacting your Kentucky Adult Education Program today.
These creamery shakes are so rich and creamy.
I know. Finally a shake for an aficionado like myself.
Wait, you're a shake aficionado?
Not a shake aficionado. The shake aficionado.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, perhaps you could be one too. Go ahead.
It's a coolness. It's cold.
Okay, ice cream is cold. Stop the presses, guys. Ice cream is cold. Says Pete. Print it.
New slow-churned creamery shakes are here in premium flavors like bourbon brown sugar. And all shakes are half price after 8 p.m. This is how you Sonic.
Kroger, proud sponsor of Kroger's Festival on the waterfront.
When big news breaks, be the first to know. Download the WKYT News app and turn on push alerts. Breaking news at your fingertips when you need to know what's going on. Push alerts, now available on the WKYT News app.
You think you've got a good answer?
Bling bling.
Botox?
Dead body in a wheelbarrow.
I'm so confused right now.
One full hour starting at 7 on the CW Lexington.
Suit up, dress down. Whatever the occasion calls for, we've got the looks. Right now, select suits are $199.99. Designer jeans are 2 for $100. Plus buy one, get one free on more. Men's Warehouse. Rise to the occasion.
It's time to wake up. You've got things to do, mouths to feed, work to get done. It's another Kentucky morning. And Kentucky mornings start here.
Good morning, I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Rebecca Smith.
You don't have time to waste, so we don't waste your time. Simple as that. Breaking and overnight news, weather to plan your day, plus traffic you can take with you. Make WKYT This Morning part of your Kentucky morning. Weekdays from 4:30 to 7 on WKYT. Stay connected to the news that matters to you. WKYT.
Several NBA teams fighting for their playoff lives in the NBA on Saturday. Patrick Patterson and the Toronto Raptors taking on the Indiana Pacers. Pacers had the 15-point lead early in the fourth. Patterson delivers from deep. That three there made it 77-65. A little bit later, the former Wildcat would drive. That's how you know you're good. Gets the friendly bounce. Patterson finished with 8 points off the bench. But the Pacers, well, they would pull away in this one. Glenn Robinson, the third, cutting, dunking, and gets the foul. Pacers win 100-83. Moving on, Enes Kanter, what a game he had for the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight. Visiting the Mavs, game 4 of the series. Kanter with a game-high 28 points as the Thunder beat the Mavs 119-108 to take a 3-1 series lead. That does it for this edition of Game Time. Good night, Kentucky.